This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
All right. Welcome to Grit on the Rocks podcast. This is officially episode 1, even though it's not, it's officially episode 1, but it's kind of not officially episode 1, you know. I decided to do this episode because I wanted to set the premise of what the show is, of what the show will be, right? What's the goal? What's the vision with this show? But I have to start by saying I am so excited that it's finally happening. It's been weeks in the process. It's been more than that, right? Thinking and just trying to come up with ideas and what do we want to do and what are we going to say? And I want to say at least like a month ago, it hit me and I just quickly started working on it. I started working on the intro of the show without having a show. And then I just started working it from there, right? But before we start, I have to play this.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, so with that out of the way, we can start. So I want to start, by saying I am excited. It's finally happening. It's I've worked in a couple of podcasts before, mainly in Spanish. I've done most of my content creation has usually been in Spanish. We worked on an English podcast a few years ago. It was based around the horror theme. But schedules, sometimes don't coincide and creativity starts flattening, and I just didn't feel comfortable just doing, whatever. I didn't want to do something. I didn't want to put out something that was, I don't know, maybe the listeners would be like, oh, this is mediocre. Even though I love doing it, it was a podcast I did with 2 of my brothers, which was great working with them. And who knows, maybe we'll pick that up again, right? I was going through a lot at the moment. It was prior to having my daughter, right? So we were in the process of pregnancy, etc. And just, I was so tired by the time, it's time to record. We record at night. But anyway, Grit on the Rocks comes from just the thought of how there are so many spaces catered to different people, right? Different niches, if you want to say it that way. And I personally, I enjoy going to a good bar. This is my type of hangout. I'm at that age that hanging out for me means either just hanging out at a nice quiet bar, music in the background, but not a place where I have to shout to the person in front of me. Some dinner, good conversation, stories, goals, just talking, back and forth and just a good conversation. I do this with my wife and, sometimes some friends and a good happy hour. So because of that, I thought of how about something around that, something that I enjoy. I also enjoy a good cigar lounge. Just puffing on a good cigar, nice and chill environment. Again, if they have music or sports playing, everything is at a low volume. I've done it by myself or with friends. And again, good conversation without having to yell at the person that's right next to me. So with that in mind, I thought of, what if we create a podcast where it's like the guys hanging out at a good whiskey bar or a cigar lounge, or, just sitting in the backyard, with a campfire or fire pit lit up, smoking some cigars, sipping on some whiskey or beer or whatever you prefer, and just having conversations amongst the guys, where we share our stories, our quote unquote war stories, our stories with past relationships, or, our kids, or work, or just, humorous stories, things that we do. Also, we can include, sometimes we talk about struggles in life. Sometimes we'll talk about maybe something good that we did for somebody else and how good that felt to do so. Or sometimes we'll just have vulnerable moments amongst friends. And it doesn't matter. You could be a manly man and you can be vulnerable and just show emotion and talk about, your weaknesses. Maybe you struggle with stuff or whatever it is. So based on that, that's how Grit on the Rocks was born. I want everyone who listens to be on that mentality of, again, you're hanging out at a bar, sitting on a stool or at a table or at a booth. You're just hanging out with your friends. If you're in a cigar lounge, maybe you're sitting in a nice comfy leather chair. They got sports on in the background, or they might have some music, at a low volume. You're there, you have your favorite bottle, whatever it is, your favorite cigar. Or if you don't do either, you're just hanging out with your friends and you're having conversations. That's what this is about. So before we continue, I got to thank our sponsors. I have to thank them because these are sponsors that have taken a chance, well, not a chance, but decided to believe in us prior to even having anything put out yet. And I truly appreciate that, because everyone who's run a podcast knows that this, you incur costs. This is not free. YouTube might be free to watch. Podcast might be free to listen to. It's not free to run. It's not free to get equipment that you need to make this work. So I do thank our sponsors. I will go into a little bit of how you can become a sponsor of the show. But yes, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild, or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild, excellence forged in unity.
All right. So, yes, Apex Gentlemen's Guild is a group that I recently also joined. It's a social club for men where you do, the plan is that they'll do different types of networking events. Sometimes when you are an entrepreneur or an investor, right, you wanna solidify your circle of people. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people, and with this in mind is why Apex Gentlemen's Guild was created. In the meantime, they are doing it virtually through Facebook. It's free at the moment. Once they do the official in-person club, well, obviously there is a membership, because again, running a club is not free. If you want to have a space where you can hang out, have meetings, and do your networking and whatever it is that they'll do, you need a space. And to have a space, you have to pay for it, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean. Anyway, but I do thank them for sponsoring this show. I also want to thank the sponsors on the website, gritontheRocks.com. If you have a small business, you can get your logo featured on the website in the section of sponsors, where your logo would appear, obviously. And when they click on your logo, it links to your website or social media of your preference. So you can become one of the sponsors that way. That's the, cheapest way to do it, basically. But yeah, you can contact the info at gritontheRocks.com. Also, gritontheRocks@gmail.com. And or on Instagram and Facebook, Grit on the Rocks, and just send a private message if you're interested in featuring your logo, sponsoring the show that way. That would be great. Another way to sponsor the show is we have 4 different segments so far. We have Whiskey Bar Wisdom, where our listeners will send emails, right, giving us a story, and we can offer some unprofessional advice. Obviously, we're not professionals in anything, but we'll just give our opinions is all in good fun. But you can become a sponsor of a segment where basically it'll say this, Whiskey Bar Wisdom is brought to you by XYZ, the name of your company. We also have the segment of Barstool Banter, where listeners will send in their funniest stories or humorous stories of things they've lived through. It can be with family, with women, with your kids, something that happened to you. We will pick 3 of the best ones to read them on the show. And myself, and if I have a co-host that day, will pick the best one. And eventually there will be prizes to give out in these segments. So again, if you want to become a sponsor of that segment, also, reach out to us, and it will say, Barstool Banter is brought to you by XYZ Company. We also have Hero of the Day, where we will feature a story of someone who has a positive story of something that they did for someone else. And we also have Kryptonite Sessions, where someone, the audience members will send us stories of vulnerable moments, of their weaknesses, of struggles, and we'll just talk on that, to help also those who listen, who might be struggling with the same thing. So again, I want to thank everyone who has supported without even starting. We've put out some messages in social media, Facebook and Instagram, in stories, and people have written already. You can go to gritontheRocks.com, find the section in the bottom where it says contact us, and you can submit your story. You can put on the title whatever segment it is. On the page, we also have it breaks down each of the segments. So whichever one you want to participate, if you want to participate in all of them, be my guest. Send us your emails. We want to read your stories. If you want to be part of the show, if you want to become a sponsor, reach out to us at info@gritontheRocks.com or gritontheRocks@gmail.com, or through one of our socials, be it Instagram or Facebook. You can find us and send us a direct message. So until next time, thank you so much to everyone who stood here this far. I mean, this is a short episode again. I just wanted to introduce and set the premise of what the show is and what it will be. And I just count on your support. If you are watching this on YouTube, I ask that you subscribe, activate that notification bell, drop us a comment, anything you want to tell us. If you want to comment on the show, if you want to submit your ideas, whatever it is, we want to hear from you. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please follow the show, share the show with your guy friends, girlfriends. I mean, we invite everyone to listen. But again, this is like the guys hangout, sort of like, again, cigar lounge, whiskey bar type environment where we just shoot the shit, basically. So thank you guys. Till next time.